Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Gem Mint Collectibles. I'm back again with a recent reads video. Just got done reading the Darth Vader Star Wars Omnibus. Man, it was a pretty quick read. It was a recommendation from somebody in the comments and something that I wanted to read for a while now. So I jumped into it. We're going to talk about it, and I'm a little excited because I just bought myself a MacBook Pro. So I will be editing this video slightly. I'll talk about the actual book, my thoughts on it, and then I'll cut to flip this camera around and show some of the artwork. So, just so you know, I might get into spoilers. It's not really much you could spoil, but just in case you haven't read this and you don't want to know anything about it, you might want to click out now and come back after you watched it. Or after you read it, I'm sorry. So here's the cover, the spine, and the back. This covers Darth Vader 1 through 25 from the first volume in 2015, Annual 1, Vader Down 1, and Star Wars 13 and 14. So I want to say Vader Down jumps in around after issue 12. And then Vader 13, and then Star Wars 13, Vader 14, and Star Wars 14. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And then the annual is somewhere in the middle, too. Well, I want to start by saying I fucking loved this run. I wouldn't consider myself, like, a huge Star Wars fan. Probably more of a casual fan. This is the first Star Wars comics that I ever read. I actually did pick a couple of these issues up when they came out originally in the floppies. And I love the Adi Granov covers, the Alex Ross variants. But my first time really reading a whole run. So this takes place after Episode 4, A New Hope. And it's really interesting how they flesh out, how the Emperor felt about Darth Vader's failure with the Death Star destroying or being destroyed. It shows us how Darth Vader finds out that Luke Skywalker is his son, because in the movies he just knows, right? But it shows us how he finds that out and his interest in finding Luke and turning him to the dark side, kind of being his apprentice. We get introduced into some cool characters. Dr. Aphra, is that how you spell it or say it? And like an evil version of C-3PO and R2-D2 called 000 and BT-1. So those characters were really well written. Darth Vader's dialogue was really well written. It really sounded like, in my head, I was hearing it like how, was it James Earl Jones, Mufasa? When I was reading the Darth Vader dialogue, that's what I was hearing in my head. So they did a great job of that. The first arc, I would say, deals in more of that introducing Aphra and those evil droids, and the Empire's relationship with Vader. And right as I thought it was starting to get a little bit boring, Vader Down issue happens, and the shit is a page turner from there. It's like, I did my last recent reads video, a couple days ago. I probably read this in 2 or 3 days. After Vader Down 1, I couldn't put it down. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video, and we're going to show some of the artwork, and I'll talk about a little bit of the storyline. All right, y'all. Here we are. We're going to show some of the artwork on the Darth Vader Omnibus. This omnibus is really well constructed. The binding is great. It sits down. It's not tight. There's no gutter loss like in that Silver Surfer Omni. This is cover 1, Adi Granov. Adi Granov is like the new Alex Ross. I really love the covers that he did in this run. Then you get a very cinematic type. I don't know the theme. Okay, anyway. So then you get your scroll. So we're going to just flip through, just get a look at the artwork and if stuff that I remember reading, look, Force Chokes Jabba the Hutt. So he uses the Force a lot in this run, which I think is fucking awesome. I think that's some of the biggest gripes with the newer movies, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. he uses the Force every chance he gets, man, and it really makes for great cinematic storytelling. So a lot of flashbacks to A New Hope. Towards the end, there's even a flashback to Episode 3, which is probably my favorite episode. You get some Luke, some Leia, some Han in the beginning, but then that's about it. Then it's just, there goes the Emperor. Then it's very Vader-y. Great artwork. Not too much dialogue, and then not too much exposition. So here's your evil droid number 1 that looks like C-3PO. This is 000. When I read him, it sounds like C-3PO, but he's always saying some evil shit. Like, oh, shall I torture them now? He loves torturing humans. He loves draining their blood. We find out later in this book that blood, well, this is what I got from it, that it's not so much that droids are alive or not alive or that humans are alive. It's that blood is what the Force is drawn to. And that's why certain bloodlines, like the Skywalker bloodline, is what do they say? Strong with the Force. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I got out of it. Then here's BT1. See, so BT1 is like the letters BT-1, but later on they read it as BEETEE, and C-3PO is spelled out. I thought that was weird because I always looked at them like the letters, not sounded out. See, here goes I'm 000, but then they call him something else later on, 000, some shit like that. Anyway, they're evil as fuck, and they're really good in this. Afra, so Dr. Afra is kind of like the comic relief, I guess, but she's a badass in herself. She's a good character. She kind of she's scared of Darth Vader, but she's helping him in his side quest. So the Emperor is pissed off with Darth Vader. He kind of sets like a chaperone with him, and Darth Vader has his own little thing on the side where he's trying to find Luke, and he's got to maneuver some things around the way. He has to kill his chaperone, and then they put another chaperone on him. So it's a pretty interesting, concept of how Darth Vader is the lackey to the Emperor. Here's Silo and the Emperor. So the whole basic concept, I think, behind this run is that Anakin was put back together with machines after Obi-Wan defeated him in Episode 3. So Silo makes him more machine than man. So then the Emperor starts thinking, well, what if we just created our own Siths and our own Jedis? And that gets into Silo. It's like this mad, crazy doctor that deals in clones and cyber whatever, and they create these kind of what do you want to call them? Apprentices out of that technology. So then it becomes a lot of, are they going to defeat Vader? If so, then that's the new wave. If not, then we're sticking back to the old ways. So this is a really interesting scene. So they do a lot of flashbacks with Anakin, with Padme, and I think that stuff's really cool. And check out his fist. So you got his fist there. He's thinking about it. You start seeing the glass crack. His fist is summoning the Force, and boom, he starts shattering all this glass in the ship. I think that looks really cool. So let's keep on going. So then this is his newer apprentice. I forget what his name is. I want to say it's like Thane. It sounds like Thanos. It's something similar to that. Thanoth. That's what it was. He's onto him. He kind of reminds me of in the Dark Knight Rises movies. He kind of reminds me of what's Bruce Wayne's what's the guy's name Morgan Freeman plays? Can't think of it right now. Well, he reminds me of him, and he's on to Vader. He finds out Vader's connection with Afra, and the Emperor doesn't know anything about that shit. So he tries to blackmail Vader in the end, and the Emperor's like, wow, man, that sneaky shit is what we do. I'm proud of you, Vader. So that shit was kind of funny. There's Afra again. So this first arc, like I said, it sets everything up. It's a good first arc. And then when that Vader down happens, is that this? Vader down is dope. I can't find it. Anyway. Oh, there it goes. So, like I said, I'm a casual Star Wars fan, and I loved it. What the hell is this? Oh, maybe that's how it starts. They have some epic space battles. They have some epic lightsaber battles. Art's really good. How it ties into the movies is good. It's kind of like, it reminded me of like a director's cut of the movies that kind of fleshes out what happens in between those movies. Like, because this scene right here, where 000 steals C-3PO's arms, isn't that how we see him in The New Hope? Oh, but this was after The New Hope. Anyway, it ties in good. Great action scene, little Han Solo action. Leia versus Vader. They don't allude to the fact that he finds out about Leia. They talk about how he finds out that Padme had given birth before she died, and they made it seem like she was pregnant when she died. And that's how he finds out about Luke, and then he puts 2 and 2 together. You got another Wookiee. I forget what his name is. It's something that's hard to pronounce. Yeah. What else is worth talking about here? There's another arc. There goes Silo with clones of himself. This is a cool battle with those newer Siths or whatever you want to call them. They just do Vader so well here. Like, the things that he does is like, they got him down to a T. So I really like how they did that. This was dope. Force pushes him off into that planet's atmosphere that burns him up. This is a dope scene where he kills Dr. Aphra. Or does he? She ends up not being dead. This is him reaching out to Luke. Not physically, but soon. So, and then you get a cover gallery. Like I said, Adi Granov. Love Adi Granov. Love Alex Ross. So you get all those covers and variants in the back. You even get all those action figure variants. Which was cool until they made like a fucking million of them. Alright, so let me go ahead and flip it back to me and I'll wrap this thing up. Alright, y'all. So that's pretty much it for my recent reads on the Star Wars Darth Vader Omnibus. Like I said, I'm not like a diehard knowing everything about the Star Wars universe. I've watched all the movies a couple of times each, and I have a good idea of, the main plot. So I didn't need to know all that to enjoy this. This kind of more filled in the blanks on what happens in between those movies. Really well written. Artwork is great. It was a page turner. I read this thing fairly quickly. So I definitely would recommend to read it. If you're a Star Wars fan, casual fan, if you're a hardcore fan, I think you'll definitely enjoy this. What else? I'm looking at my library and what I want to read next. X-Men Legacy Legion Omnibus is calling my name. I know that it's a little dense, but I think it's one that if I read it and put in recent reads, a lot of people would want to see it. These videos might get a little shorter now with me learning how to edit, man, and chop it up a little bit. Maybe I'll figure out how to add some kind of music to it, but I don't want to get the copyright shit or whatever. So that's going to be it for this recent reads. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this and others, statue reviews, collection hauls, and collection updates, and videos like that. You can see I highlighted this in my every Star Wars Omnibus release so far video. So if you're interested to know what kind of other omnibus are out there, you can check that video out. Make sure to like my page on Facebook, Gem Mint Collectibles. I post pictures, other videos, updates on when we're going to do live shows. We are doing a live show tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. with my man Milton the Manimal, and we're going to do the history of Spider-Man Part 1, where we break down basically the Silver Age, Bronze Age Spider-Man as much as we can, and talk to you guys in the chat. So I guess that's going to be everything. Hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a comment, drop a thumbs up on it, and stay minty. Peace.